Hello, good evening, everybody. This is The Energy Architect, and I'm here with my podcast, The Energy Architect. Today, we are going to be talking to one of the co authors in the book, Women with Healing Gifts. She's actually authored her chapter over here. So, Shanna, would you like to speak a little bit about your chapter and what that is about?
But and good morning to anyone who may be in the US. I love meeting people all over the world, and so it's a great opportunity to be able to have new friends and co-authors in different places. So yeah, my chapter is Heal Yourself for You Can Heal the World. And my healing gift that was bestowed to me in this lifetime was that I am a gifted massage therapist. I have been practicing massage therapy professionally for 15 years. And even before I had gone to school and had the proper training, I intuitively knew how to relieve the stress and pain from people's bodies. And so I was given the opportunity to go to school, and that was when I decided to have a career in that field and really develop that gift further. And I spent the beginnings of that career still kind of unhealthy and unbalanced. I hadn't really worked on myself and my mindset and done my inner healing. And so when I wanted to write this chapter, it's about the journey that I've taken over the last decade, with, healing traumas and personal growth and development and mentorship and coaching, and really discovering who I am and how to live in my authenticity, and then how that carries out into my work and into my clients and how I'm better able to serve my communities.
Lovely. Shanna, could you tell us something about your healing journey and how that translated into you going out and healing your clients and your patients?
Yeah, so um, because everyone had said that I was good at massage therapy, I was actually a single mom with my oldest child. And like I said, I was given that opportunity to either go back to school or to get a job. And I knew if I got a job, it would be customer service or fast food or something, not as lucrative and not as fulfilling and rewarding. It wasn't a passion or a purpose. It would have just been, a paycheck. And so I really wanted to have something where I could have that flexibility of time so that I could be present with my child. And then also to feel like I was leaving the world a better place than how I found it, with something a bit more meaningful than just, a regular kind of 9 to 5 type job. And so um, I went to school. And then when I met my first mentor was actually after I had been a massage therapist for a few years. And she introduced me to water technology. And that's completely changed my life, because the water helps the body balance itself internally. And then the massage therapy works externally on the muscles. And
Mm,
so we, I was able to have this kind of healing transformation that I didn't even know that I needed. Like, so many of us are told in Western medicine, to take a prescription for an ailment, but we're never really offered the exploration of why is this presenting itself in your body. Like,
yeah,
your body is trying to tell you something. It can't just say, I need a massage. So it gives you a little kink in your neck and causes you pain to get your attention. And
yeah.
so the same thing when different diseases or ailments or pain or, being overweight. I was very overweight after I had my second child. Um, because they actually told me I had gestational diabetes when I was pregnant. And so I went on the diet of, no sugar. And then when they told me it was gone, I was like, ooh, let me go back and eat all that stuff that I haven't been able to have the last 6 months. And so I went from, being 167 to 213 pounds. And so, um, and I was taking 6 different prescriptions on a daily basis for different things that, the doctor just said, this is what you need. And I didn't question it. And so really learning more about health and wellness and more of a holistic, natural approach, and why were these things presenting themselves in my life, and what was something I could do with, hydration, nutrition, a mindset, different limiting beliefs, being able to, see how something might have served me in the past, but how it's not going to be, for my future greatest good. And it's not going to get me to level up to where I need to be so that I can be a further contribution.
I can see that you've really contributed quite a bit because I don't think I've ever really seen anyone else as a massage therapist really approach it the way you have approached it, which is like a 360-degree approach, and it's an inside out. So what happens is that a lot of people really look at just trying to take care of the physical ailments, and they're not really looking at the inside of what really is like screaming for help. And when you spoke about this, it's you are very intuitive in that sense because you kind of know what somebody really needs. So do you think something speaks to you, and how do you go about that? It's almost spiritual.
It really is. So I usually ask to kind of empty myself out. I know about energy, and to stay clear so that I don't transfer my energy to someone else or absorb their energy. I used to not be very good at that. I used to absorb everything from everybody, and I had a friend who would come and she'd have to clear me out, and she's like, "What are you doing? Where is your bubble?" And so I've been able to develop that over the years. And I just, it gives me an opportunity to be quiet. There's a lot of busyness in my life. And so when I'm in a session and I'm just fully present with that person and they have that undivided time, that it allows for that stillness, for that, intuitive voice to come through. And I'm not 100% right, but there's a lot of times where I'll say something, "Oh, do you have a headache?" And they're like, "Oh, how did you know?" And so just being able to tune in with that person. And I can do the same thing with people now that we have these virtual technologies. I can have, discovery sessions with people online on Zoom, and you can get to know a lot from someone by just, looking at them and speaking with them for a few moments. And so it's allowed me to be able to broaden who I can serve and who I can help, because I can't drive to you, like, to give you a massage, but we could have, an online session, and there is some energy exchange that can be done for people who are open to that. I do qigong practices also. And so really just a lot of the knowledge and wisdom and modalities that I've collected over the years, just offering them in case people don't know about them or haven't heard about them, then they're able to try them on and explore them for themselves and find a protocol that works best. Like, not everything has to be my way, but by being able to explore something new that maybe you hadn't been introduced to before, then you're able to open up your toolbox and have some more resources.
So, what do you think is the secret tool or ingredient in your toolbox?
Oh, wow. I mean, there's so many great things. I think, if we want to go for the physical body, I feel like the water that I drink and I've been drinking for the last decade is the foundation. Our bodies, just like the world, are 75% water. And so when you have proper hydration and the quality of the water is there, then you're able to have that base and that foundation. So yeah, by having proper hydration in the body, then it's like having the right gas in your car. Unless you have the right fuel through hydration and nutrition and all of those things, the body isn't able to heal itself. And we were designed to be able to have our own internal healing. And if it gets too polluted, like, the ocean water, when there's too much pollution, you don't get to see the coral reefs or the fish or all of the animals because it gets all icky and gunky inside. And so by really having the ability to cleanse and rejuvenate and repair yourself, then you're able to, shine. Even
Hmm.
just drinking more water makes people's skin glow, there's all
That's so
kinds of
true.
things.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that's probably my first secret weapon. And then, gratitude, the mindset, but whatever we focus on expands. And so if we're in gratitude for what we have, then we're able to have more blessings. And, we get to grow to a place where we can receive. And if we don't grow anymore, then we don't receive anymore. And so by always working on myself and wanting to achieve my highest good and my best confidence and my contribution to the world, then I'm allowed more opportunity to get to go out and do those things. I had never been on podcasts before. I never got to share this message with people. But once, I started writing these books and sharing my stories and being open, I used to get so nervous. I would run around the house screaming. My kids thought I was a crazy woman, before I would sit down on an interview because I didn't know how it was going to go. And I wasn't confident in myself. And then just like anything else that we get to practice, the more that we do it, the more comfortable you can become. And the more you say yes to things, the more opportunities come your way. And you never know which thing might be the thing that completely changes your life.
That's very, very true. That's so true. Shana, this is not your first book. So would you want to
No,
talk about the other things that you've authored?
sure. Um, so I have The Fearless Entrepreneurs, which is another one with Action Takers Publishing. These actually, all three of these are that one was a bit of my entrepreneurial journey. So how I went from just massage therapist working for someone else to really having my own business, my private clients, doing some of my other health and wellness consulting, and being able to broaden who I get to help in the world, because I'm not limited to just my local area for who I can get my hands on for people. And then I have Wellness for Winners, and that is about the different facets of health and how it isn't just your physical body, how it does have, the mindset and the spiritual components and even financial. Because if we have anything that's out of balance in our life, we're not able to have our best health and wealth and wisdom. And we have these doctors who make lots of money, but then, they're working 80 hours a week and they never get to see their kids' baseball game. Or, there's someone who maybe has all the time to spend, but they're stressed out because they don't know how they're going to get food or, keep the lights on in the house because they're not making, the money that they could, that we all deserve abundance.
True.
And some people don't understand the laws of the universe and what you sow and what you reap. And if you're not willing to go out there and plant those seeds, you're not going to have the same harvest you would as someone who is out there working in their fields and tending to their garden. And so our hearts and our minds, that's our garden. And what we surround ourselves with, the people we're in association with, the programs we watch on TV, or the books that we read, the podcasts we listen to, or the music, all of that affects our subconscious. And, if we're not careful, we'll end up living a life of default instead of a life of design. And I really believe everyone can design their life the way they want to, and that they just, maybe need to be taught some new skills or a new way of looking at things, because it isn't something that's as promoted. I think there's a new generation coming up where it is, where there's a lot of people who have some of the coaching and the mindset training, and they're aware of these philosophies and things so that they can teach these next generations. But traditionally, the US, was founded by entrepreneurs. We all traveled here from somewhere else to start this new life. And then somewhere along the way, they decided to put us in school and teach us how we should be.
Yeah.
And this is, you have to show your work and do your math this way. Well, if you get the right answer, why does it matter how you got that answer? And it kind of stifled that creativity. And so when we can go back into, that place of our inner child, where, you know, that creativity lies, and where there were no limitations. You know, if you talk to a small child under the age of 5, they can build a rocket ship and fly away and tell you this great adventure that they've been on. And then they go to school and they're like, no, you can't do that anymore. I'm like, well, why?
Mm.
If you think you can do it, then you will do it. And once you make up your mind to do something, every decision after that is either going to support where you're going, or it's going to take you further away. And so when you have that clarity of what you want in life, then you're able to go out there and take those steps necessary to keep reaching towards that goal.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And then
So,
another book is the book I
ah,
read. And so that one
well,
has,
hang in there.
there you go. Yeah. And that one,
I don't know if you can see
that,
that.
that one's good. It was
Yeah, it is.
how a particular book changed my life.
Yeah.
And it's funny because there were, I think there's 4 of us total who chose the same book, that it really
Oh,
had that impact. But all of our chapters are still different. And it's how we internalized it, and what it meant to
yeah.
us. It's not like a book report about what the book is about, but it's how it, you know, allowed us to have a new way of being and living by some of the wisdom and knowledge from that book. And so I chose the 4 agreements. And those are to be impeccable with your word. So you never want to speak ill of yourself or others. You know, our words are powerful. And so many people don't think before they speak, they just let it all come out. And yeah, it's a big explosion, you know. And then it's to not take anything personally. So, you know, whenever someone is acting in a certain way, that's a projection of what's going on within themselves. And it's not my job to take on all of that for everybody. I used to do that. I used to be the codependent, people pleasing, you know, oh my God, they're not going to like me. And, you know, really, they may not like themselves yet. I didn't like myself. I
Yeah,
didn't love myself. And so if I don't love myself, how can I love anyone, you know?
that's
So
so true.
really doing that work. And then it's to, so be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Always do your best. And your best is going to change if you're tired or you're not feeling well or you're stressed, is going to be different than if you've, you know, gotten a good night's sleep and a proper breakfast and all of those things. And so, but if I'm always just doing my best at any moment, no matter what that moment looks like, that's all I can do. Just like I said, you know, if we come from love in all that we do, that's the best you can do. There's nothing greater than love. And so
That's
whenever you're making your decisions based off of, you know, love and positivity and the highest good for all beings in the world, then you're going to have very different result than if it's com, a competitive, you know, I only want what's best for me, a cutthroat type energy that, you know, some people felt they needed in the past to get to where they wanted to be. And then never make assumptions. And so that means I get to ask better questions. I get
yeah.
to have clarity. If I don't understand something, I get to come to you and I say, hey, could you explain that again to me? Or this is what I heard. Is that what you meant? And so then we don't have these assumptions of what's going on with someone else. And a lot of the biggest fights in the world have been formed over a miscommunication or a misunderstanding. And if we just take that extra moment to get that clarity, then a lot of that heartache can be avoided.
That's very true, Shanna. Shanna, you know what occurs to me when I speak to you? Um, there's so much of wisdom in you, and you are still able to connect yourself with the child in you, you know, and there's this creativity that's like bubbling, and it's all from a place of love. And I think that's fantastic. I'm not sure how many people can really approach work and everything that they do from that point of view, because there is so much of wisdom in everything that you're saying, and yet you're able to connect with that child in you. So I think that's amazing.
I feel like fun has, you know, it's a little underrated. Like, we need that. Laughter's the best medicine. You've heard that saying. And so when we have that childlike wonder and we can look at the world from a place of innocence and creativity versus, like I said, some of those um, things that were taught to us, and sort of those limitations, there really are no limitations. If you have a goal and you have a dream and you take action to achieve it, you're going to get there. It might not happen in 10 minutes, it might take 10 years, but as long as you never stop and you never give up, you're always going to be moving closer to your goal. And so, but I was so serious for so long, and that's not something someone wants to be around. I can't help people create positive lives and reach their dreams if I'm not living my dreams, or if I'm walking around with a sour face on, like, I'm a man, I'm doing this thing, I'm gritting my teeth and I'm hanging on. That's not
Yeah.
fun. Nobody wants that. And so, to really kind of step into more of my femininity, because I was a single mom and I had to get things done and be in that masculine energy. And we all have both masculine and feminine energies inside us, and just really allowing that flow and that being and that presence and some of the more receptive qualities, to come to me, because this world is beautiful, and like this experience to come here and to find what my legacy gets to be, and how I can change just my little part of the world. First I get to change myself, then I get to change my family, then I get to change my communities, and then I can expand. There's still more things that I've not completed, and I get to prioritize certain goals now because I can't do everything all at the same time. But it's sort of like a building block, with growing into that greatest possible self, being able to have foundations and steps in order. Because if you have, there's a story about the big rocks, and you have this jar, and if you put in your sand or your pebbles, before you put in your big rocks, you're not going to be able to do everything. But if you put them in the proper place with the big rocks first, and then the sand, and then the everything gets to fall into the little cracks in between. And just when you think the jar is full, you can always pour a cup of tea or water on to show that there's always time for a friend or someone else, to step out of yourself and give back. Because you never know who you're interacting with, what kind of day they might be having. And since the pandemic and the lockdowns and all of the things, so much of the suicide rate has gone up, and the depression and all the mental health. And that's something I've even been challenging, with my youngest child, who's 12 years old, and there's a lack here in that system. And there's a disconnect because people haven't looked at the hydration and the nutrition and the holistic approach of, you know, what we're surrounded by and what we're listening to. And it's just like, here's a pill. And yes, sometimes you're going to need a medication, and you might need it long term, or you might only just need it for a season until you're able to get a handle on some of the other things. But there's so much toxicity in our food and the dyes and in, the genetically modified things. It's like, long gone are the days of natural farms and having our own, produce in our backyard. And I think if we can get back to that place where we're not consuming these pesticides with the carcinogens and, some of the toxicities in our water, there's, even pharmaceuticals in the water supplies now. And,
Yeah.
Cleaning up our consumption of how we fuel our vehicle. It's like the gas you put in your car or the oil changes. If you always ignore the vehicle, it's not going to run. And so if you're not having your self-care, getting some massages, taking that time to be in gratitude, dealing with the mindset of things, having the rest and the food and all of that, then your body won't run. It'll start to develop different diseases. It can't just open up your calendar and schedule you, what it needs. So it has to get your attention in a different way with pain or disease.
Very well said. Shana, is there a message that you would like to give out to people who are watching you and listening to you? What's Shana's message?
It's like Dr. Seuss said, be yourself. I think everybody else is taken. So, we were all brought here with certain gifts. And when you can sit in stillness and meditation and prayer and really receive those messages, then you can act on them. You have your goals and you can go, achieve whatever you want to achieve. And sometimes, people might not have that community, or they might have not feel like they have any support out there. And so that's where I come in, and I'd love to get on a discovery call with anyone who feels like maybe they're lost or they don't know where to start. I have different, ideas for them, or different people that I've collected along the way that can contribute and collaborate. And I think it's more fun when everybody wins. And, that's what I want to do, is just spread that light and that message and let people know that everything is possible, and that they don't have to listen to some of the negativity or the things that, the limits that might have been presented to them before. And, that we can all go have a lot of fun together.
I can really see you really affecting somebody with your approach to this, with just like such pure love and positivity. And I'm sure that has such a good effect on everybody that you work with. I can vouch for that.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to talk with you today.
Thank you. Is there a free gift that you would be? I understand that there is a gift that you would like to be giving out for people who buy the book.
Yeah, so I do have that discovery call. It's a 30-minute session with me. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. If it's to get a different perspective, or to maybe see what the next steps you can take. I have some exercises, practices that I have adopted over the years that have really helped me be able to get clarity. And I just want to share those tools with other people in case they don't have them yet.
I'm sure a lot of people would love to just connect with you, and just the positivity that you're giving out right now, that's amazing. Um, Thank you so much for being here with me today on this podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak for some time about everything that you're up to. And I'd like to wish you all the best, and all the best for the book as well. That's coming out on June 18th, and we're awaiting the launch. Um,
Congratulations to you for this being your first book.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited myself. Yeah. Yeah, that's it from me. I'll be leaving your link for the free gift at the in the podcast, in the message, and the people can reach out to you. And thank you, everybody, and thank you, Shana, for being here. This is the Energy Architect signing off. Bye bye.